Hello and welcome to another edition of Ripping the Boards. I'm your host, Samuel Wilshire, and today I'll be talking about rules about NASCAR that I feel like need to be changed. So let's get right into it. So I feel like I just have to just talk off the dome and think of different rules that annoy me and I feel that need to be changed. Number one, the yellow line rule at Talladega and Daytona, and now Atlanta. Um, so the rule was created back in 2001, and I feel it was created to in an effort to prevent more accidents at the plate tracks, at the drafting tracks. Um, and if you've been watching restricted plate racing, or even now it's just a tapered spacer, uh, you would see that that still is the most accident prone racing that we still have. Um, I feel like sometimes it actually creates more wrecks than it's intended to resolve, and that it's a self policing issue. You have a driver going below the yellow line trying to advance a position. You know you don't have any banking down there for when you get into the corner, so you gotta get up there. And if you take out your competitors because you were impatient and went down below the line and you caused a big wreck, just like any other point, I feel that it's a self-policing issue. You have to answer to your fellow drivers in the garage. I can't tell you how many times um, like yellow line controversies have come up. Some of some of them have included my all-time favorite driver, Dale Jr. Like 2003 at Talladega when he went below the line to pass Matt Kenseth at Talladega. Even as a Dale Jr. fan, I'm like, man, that's questionable. I'm like, DW said the best. He's like, it would be unpopular to black flag him, which I I agree, but I feel like we shouldn't even have that position to begin with, because as it's written, if you force a driver below the line, or if you go down below the line unforced and you make a pass, then you're subject to be penalized by NASCAR, which is still at their discretion. So they could decide they just won't do anything about it. Which, do we really want NASCAR more in the business of making ball and strike calls? I, for one, I don't think so. And then that takes us to number two, penalizing aggressive driving. So I feel it's partly should be in NASCAR's hands, because I've seen such egregious examples of aggressive driving. And we've seen some drivers get penalized, some drivers get suspended, and others not. Um, I feel like if NASCAR wants to let teams police themselves, then they have to police themselves. But I feel like there's a certain limit. I, for one, wish we had more of a style that racecraft won over overall beating and banging. Like, I agree with, like, beating and banging should be allowed, but like I don't like people getting turned or just blatantly wrecked for race wins. And I can see it for revenge. That's something different in my book. Um, Someone getting back at another driver because they'd been wrecked, and you know they're just getting back at them. And that's another thing. How does NASCAR not penalize the initial infraction, the initial, the initial accident, but then they go and police the retaliation? That's like you getting punched in the face, and then you punch them back in the face, and then you're the one in trouble for it. Since when does that make sense? That doesn't make any sense at all, like at all. And I've always questioned how that even still exists. But I digress. We can have a whole hour long video just talking about that alone. Um, Another rule, number 3, win and you're in. Ooh boy, if you know me, and a lot of you on here don't know me as yet, but I have friends who I'm able to talk racing with now, which I wasn't able to in my earlier years of life, which I'm thankful for. But when we talk about win and you're in, the current rule that we have now, especially with its most recent iteration, with the top 30 rule being taken away, and as long as you're full time and you attempt all the races and you win a race, that you can be in NASCAR's playoffs. I mean, it was probably a good idea in theory. Like I said in the previous video, give drivers who haven't had the best season an opportunity to make something out of their season still. Because, especially in the Winston Cup days, you kind of knew fairly early on who would be the front runners in the championship for that year. And it would leave everyone else kind of scrambling to try to figure out where they're going to be. And like I've said before, NASCAR's never had a perfect system, and that's certainly something that needed to change. But to add a rule where no matter where in the standings you are, you can win one race before the playoff cutoff and you're in, given if there's no other winners that were, given that there's still enough slots, like up to 16, of course. I don't think that should stand. And the fact that we've had that for the last 11 seasons now, and we're probably going to have it for the foreseen future, as long as we have whoever's at the helm. I for one, I can't stand it. I really would want to see that changed. Of course, we need a system that would reward winning, but to the extent that it's not a win and an automatic advancement into a round or a playoff berth. That's stupid. And those are the top 3 rules off the top of my head that I can say that they need to be gone. They need to be gone. Or we're just going to continue down the road of being more entertainment based rather than a sport. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. I'm always open for dialogue, open for respectful back and forth rhetoric. Just let me know what you guys think. I'm always up to talk. So I'll see you guys next time. This has been Ripping the Boards. I am your host, Sammy Wilshire. Catch y'all next time.